if we lobby together and we say we want to try to build something ahead of time that's bigger, maybe there's a way we can squeeze the turnip a little more together, and I'm sure if there's a way that we will. But those are the things that are being proposed, that we're trying some common sense solutions to try to breach these things. I think if people divert up from Naples and they can turn right on Old 41 to get to Bonita Beach Road to go to 75 and don't need to be through Bonita Beach and 41 intersection, which I've heard is a little bit backed up sometimes. My trucks and my cars go the same way as you do. They take some pressure off that intersection. So that's something that I'm trying to propose, and I'm sure our team will work with the state as best we can. But that's one small example of a 3-mile road that we talked about recently that we'll talk about again. So those are the kind of things in a 5-year plan that I can offer you that I've seen so far that we're all trying to make happen. So I hope that helps you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Real quick, David.
Okay. Look, I tend to agree.
Oh, sorry, no. Yeah, the format is we've got the submitted questions. Afterwards, if you've got anything specific, we can chat.
But there's no continuity because you're jumping from all over the place.
That's why they're all going to stay here till the.
Yeah, who already passed that question?
For the next question,
Didn't you want paper?
Mr. Price,
No, not that.
I'd like to go, Ron Price, I'd like to go ahead, we're over here.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
I want to compliment Rob and his staff. I've received several emails from you folks about the uneven paving in front of the town. I sent a little email to David with a copy of those emails that were provided to me, and within a matter of 48 hours I had an answer, and within a matter of 3 weeks we had that repaved and restriped.
Next question. What is being done to protect our natural habitat and wildlife? Unrestricted growth is having a detrimental effect on our infrastructure and environment.
Let me take a stab at that. As you all know, Lee County has a land conservation program called Conservation 2020. To date, from its inception, we purchased 30,000 acres of land, over 30,000 acres of land. And just previously, I showed you the one that Kiker Preserve. That's 6 sections of land that was purchased through that. That is the type of activity and what the board has championed over years. And also, we have developers that are going out there recognizing that we have natural systems. And instead of golf courses in places now, you're seeing much more greenway corridors, flowway corridors, restoration of these natural lands that used to be there that may be agriculture right now. So unfortunately, we're losing agriculture, but some of the development coming in, they've actually been able to reestablish some of the wetlands and natural systems and panther corridors and what have you. So it's a holistic. The county, we do not have enough money to buy all the land we want in forever, but we slowly pick away those choice properties.
So if I can piggyback on that, thank you, Roland. 2020 is one of the few departments that we are ahead of schedule on. We are actually ahead of our projection and goals for the amount of land that we have so far. But it is, I think this will be a relevant subject to you. People look at these new developments coming in and they ask about the habitat and wildlife and all those things. One of the things that I have learned from this, the information that I receive now in our agendas and some of these zoning items and other things that I didn't realize the extent to, you would often think if somebody sold a vacant piece of land that leaving it untouched would be the best thing for it, right? But the better thing you can do beyond that, as Roland mentioned, is you can restore it to its original Everglades-like condition. And there's things that man has done over years. If you dug a farm pond, right, that used to be, change the drainage on your 5 acres or whatever it was, if we fix that and restore these things and plant the cypress trees and different filter marsh plantings and other things that actually improve to take it to old Florida standard, right, you can actually make it better than leaving it alone in some of these developments. And there's a lot of thoughtful developers around here that are making extra steps to make, I can't remember the name of the super wetland, Kingston is one, but there was a category of restoration that was pristine level, I'll just say super great restoration, that these developers are doing to make the existing flowways and drainage work better than some of the prior man-made impediments that they may have inherited when they bought that piece of land. Does that make sense? So I didn't realize the extent of opportunity for the nature and wildlife and water flow that actually gets better by some of these developments doing what they do to connect the dots on these maps that gentlemen like Roland talks about here. So water, having too much water here, not enough water there is a huge subject, but Roland is a master at this, and one piece at a time, just because you see a new housing development, when they set aside these lands to make them this pristine category of restoration, like I'm going to call it Everglades-like plantings again, they make that a conservation easement forever. Okay? That is off the table to build on top of that again. So those things are part of the big puzzle. That doesn't sell as many newspapers, right, to hear, but it is part of the project, and I do want you to know that that is part of the review that we're looking at when they put these permits in, so we can preserve the wildlife and the beauty of Florida and all the things that are important to us are all being thoughtful along the way. So I thought you'd.
And Commissioner, can I add also that we have our 2020 coordinators along with our park rangers. They help with the reservation of the 2020 properties too. If something goes on, FWC, our rangers are on top of it. So they work closely with Roland and his groups too, to make sure everything's done properly.
Oh, if somebody does something wrong or there's a bad actor
Yeah.
in there, okay, well, then we police it too.
Yeah.
We got to mow the grass, I think. So, what's next?
Why does it seem that Collier County beach parks seem to reopen faster than Lee County beach parks following hurricanes? I realize one possible reason is that the Lee County beach parks in recent years have been more adversely impacted than Collier County.
That's the reason. That's the reason. That was the answer.
Over the last few years, Lee County has taken obviously a big hit. I think this was the last few storms. Charlotte County took just as big a hit. But typically, believe it or not, Collier County they share resources with us, so they were able to supply people to the county to help us get through a lot of the process. But the FEMA process is a very long process in order for the county to get reimbursed and get approved to move with the project. So that really is the answer. It's just we've been hit harder over the last few years.
Can you explain, one of the things I was proud of on one of our early agendas was the fact that we were able to, with our sand project, the beach renourishment project, we had the team already working here on site, and we were able to help Bonita budget by funding. We actually gave Bonita an interest-free loan for $5 million to pay for a change order work for the contractor to continue all at once while they were already set up without demobilizing. So, Roland, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, mobilization costs are huge for these beach renourishment projects. They're coming from different places of the nation, and they bring heavy equipment and by barge and what have you, and getting here in place was really critical for us to basically tap into that. We also were able to receive, because we had a contractor in place in a shovel-ready project, we also were able to obtain another $20 million for that project from DEP, from the state funding. So having the right resources in place, the right coordination with cities and other local governments, you can really stretch that dollar, make more of a project than the dollar you have.
I was really proud to be part of that and to see the foresight. All I did was say yes at the end, so I don't want to claim any credit. But that's the kind of collaboration and teamwork that I think feels really good to be part of. So, yes.
Does the county support the Bonita Estero Trails project?
All right, well, that matter has not been before me yet since I've been in office, so I will admit, as a new commissioner with the 29 departments in the airport, I've met about 18 or 20 department heads so far. What I have done is I visited with some folks down here in Bonita, some businesses that gave me a tour of downtown and showed me how the Burt Trail and the investment, some of the areas that you're looking at, connect the parks and things to your beautiful new Old 41 downtown area. By the way, some really cool music, restaurants, and food. I'm like, man, this place is cool. You know, I mean, that was really impressive. So I was happy to see that opportunity. From the little bit of research I was able to do prior to this meeting, I don't know that my fellow board members or prior boards were engaged in this to some degree. Maybe Dave can help me with some of the historical responsiveness, but I just don't have, I have not had a briefing in that particular matter countywide, but maybe you can help me with some of the past. Sure. Please.
So the board is supportive of the project. I think the concern for the board and I think the bigger issue is where the board is financially. So right now, we're technically running a deficit for the next 2 years. We're able to cover that through reserves, but the board has a lot of priorities, and one of them, if you've already heard, is congestion, and that's across the county. That's a road network. Just to give you an example, the board is looking at a number of road projects. So you take Midpoint, the widening of Midpoint started out at $200 million, and we're upwards of $600 million, and we haven't even started moving forward with that. So costs keep escalating. Infrastructure is a big issue for the board. So they are very supportive of quality of life projects, but obviously with one of the fastest growing counties in the nation, they've got to keep up with the growth, and that is the big issue that the board has to deal with at this point in time.
Which next question might be
Yes.
better addressed by
The Midpoint Bridge in Cape Coral was what he was referring to.
What is being done to protect our local panther population? When a developer is planning to build, is a developer forced to consider the migratory pathway of the panthers?
Respectfully, I think that question's been asked and answered, just in a different way.
All right.
Good evening. My name is John Dolmer. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Bonita Springs. And when applications are filed for property that includes panther habitat, there's two types of panther habitat, primary, secondary, and each of those come with certain criteria and conditions that are required if a development takes place in either one of those. So in the past, several applications that we've had over the past 3 or 4 years have included portions of panther habitat. Those applications have been denied. We have worked with Bonita National, which is the only approved project that was in panther habitat, and all of those conditions in terms of where structures can be, what type of vegetation can be located there, those were all followed in terms of design. So if you're playing the very east side of the Bonita National Golf Course, you'll see a lot of how those conditions played out.
Just to piggyback on John's response, so a lot of our road projects obviously go and traverse through panther habitat. Corkscrew Road, project that's under construction right now, it includes many wildlife underpasses. There's fencing that has to be installed along the road. All of that is a result of permitting efforts with the Army Corps of Engineers and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. The Alico Connector Project, which is a new road that's going to connect Alico Road to Sunshine and 82 to basically give Lehigh Acres a third route to the interstate. It's going to be a massively important project for our region in South Lee County. That's going to have 5 wildlife underpasses on it. So there's a lot of cost and permitting effort associated with installing those measures. Those wildlife underpasses are placed in appropriate locations where we are restoring flowways, where known panther migration paths are. So there's a lot of thought and effort and time that goes into laying those out and designing them so that the panthers are protected.
One question, the final question. Well, how will we connect our communities to the new Midtown at Bonita? How many more communities are planned in this zone for city staff?
Ooh, the electricity. Currently, right now, there's one more community that's planned out there, and it is working under that state legislation. I'm sure all of you have heard on the Live Local Act. So they're not going to need to go in front of the city council for approval. It'll be an administrative approval as long as they follow all the different zoning regulations. In terms of the connection for those communities, if you're looking at sidewalks, we're looking at 10-foot sidewalks that will connect. And then additionally, we're looking at alternatives that will provide access away from Bonita Beach Road. Unfortunately, there's a number of property owners in that area, so we have to coordinate with several people. It's not just one property owner that can provide land or, heaven forbid, build the road. But we are working our way through that process so that way it's not looking to add additional cars in that section of Beach Road. Where is it right now?
Where is the development being planned? We don't know about it.
So Bonita 75 is being constructed right beside I-75. The adjacent project is truly adjacent to the east. It is right next to it on the other side of Orr Road. Yes, sir.
I apologize if you covered this and I missed it, but this particular stretch from Terry